I need to thank Ander, Sonny, and Alex from Floating Home Films for pulling together that incredible documentary. All right, we're going to keep things moving so we can have as much time as possible for our panel. 2 panels, actually. In just a moment, I'm going to invite the stars of our film to come up on stage, but first I'll introduce our moderator for this evening, a man who really needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. He is a familiar voice and someone who brings people together every day from all walks of life for the very purpose of having a thoughtful conversation, which is exactly what we'd like to do now. Please welcome the host of WXXI Connections, Mr. Evan Dawson. All right, and I am so excited to invite to the stage our movie stars, Eve, Nassir, and Cee Cee. I see you're back there. You guys were amazing. All right, Evan, we'll take about 20 minutes for this segment.
Nassir, make sure you grab a mic as well there, so you guys all have mics. I want to say, we're going to do this panel, and then you're going to hear from some community leaders to come up here with a second panel. And the film you just saw was, I think, a blunt look at what life is like, and I think many of the people in this room, me included, learned a lot in that 30 minutes. If you're like me, you want everyone you know to see this film, to better understand the system. Let me also say that occasionally, Shawn and some of the participants there were critical of RTS. RTS could have chosen not to be here tonight. Maggie Brooks is here, Tom Breed's here. They want to be part of the solution. They are innovative. They're trying to be forward-thinking. You're going to hear from them, and I want to thank them for being here because, we've got to ask tough questions if we want good answers. And RTS is here, and they understand that people think it's not perfect, but they're trying to work forward with it. So I want to thank them for that. First of all, let me just ask all 3 panelists, and then Shawn as well. You're a panelist, but the 3 stars and Shawn, just to kind of let us know what you thought in watching that. Did that accurately capture your story? And Cee Cee, yes. Why don't you start, Cee Cee? Yeah.
How you guys doing? My name is Sarah Cooper. But it definitely captured everything, what we go through day-to-day basis, the hours we get at work trying to make it to work, on the bus without a car, it is very, very hard. The money, I don't have no money right now, but these guys, thanks to RTS, they just blessed me with a lot of bus passes, so I really don't gotta worry no more. So thank y'all so much. I got no way to work. But it is very appreciative of y'all to show a lot of people how people in poverty get around, and just want to say thank y'all. You hit the head on the nail.
Yes, and Cee Cee, let me just also ask you, one of the things that we hear about when it's written about or talked about, but we rarely get to see like we see here, is just how much time it would take you. Forget going to work. What if you had a doctor's appointment? What if you had any other appointments or things you've got to get to? How much time you have to figure out how to carve into your day taking the bus? And what we saw there, I think, is just how hard that is. How often do you have to think about that? Have to figuring out your life?
Every day. I have to tonight I don't have to worry, but if I didn't have these bus passes tonight, I will have to probably call about 3 people, and if them 3 people don't help me, I have to get up at 7 in the morning and walk to West Henrietta Road, period, point blank, and then try to get somebody to give me $1 from work, and if they can't do it, I have to leave work at 1 o'clock to make sure I make home by 3 so I can make it to my therapist appointment, and I may have to walk there because I have no bus fare, and that's all the way on J Street, so I'm walking all the way from West Henrietta Road, back from West Henrietta Road, all the way to J Street, and then I'm still not really getting the hours that I need to get because I'm only getting 20 hours in, and that's basically chunk change. So all that is going into, half of that's going into bus fare and half of that is going into my personal needs as far as tissue or whatever, I'm a female, and then stuff that I need, food. So, and then by the same day my check is gone, so I'm back in the same boat again, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get bus fare for the bus.
Mm-hmm. Eve, What did you think of the film? What was it like for you seeing that? Did you feel like that really captured your story?
Oh yes, it really did. It captured a part of the story. I don't even feel like it really captured it all, because there's always just so much more that I have to do. Like, that was just going from work home. I mean, that's not even including when I have to go grocery shopping or get things for my kids. And I have a 6-month-old, so of course, going to Walmart and trying to carry on the bus boxes of Pampers, because I can't buy packs, because that'll last a day with a 6-month-old. So I have to carry on the bus boxes of Pampers, milk, groceries, everything. And then that's not even including what I need for my 9-year-old.
Even let me also ask you something that, I know you're one person, this is not a scientific study or a comprehensive look at the community, but as a mom, you were blunt about the fact that you want to move, you want to get away from that neighborhood. Sometimes we have conversations about how poverty gets concentrated. It's very concentrated in Rochester. And some community leaders have said, well, surveys say people just don't want to move. They just want their neighborhoods to be better. You want to move?
Oh, yes, I want to move. I am not in an area where I would like to be. Like I said, I live right across the street from Cordials, which is a strip bar. Like, no, that's terrible. I do not want my son or any of my sons around that mess.
But what would it take for you to be able to move?
Money. That's pretty much money. I mean, I make, compared to a lot of people, you would think, $16 an hour is good money, but in all actuality, paying $850 in rent, and that's just rent, and that's not including what I have to pay for on a day-to-day basis for my kids. And not only that, I have to pay for, water, electricity, and that sort of thing. So it's just like that's still not enough money. I'm still, penny pitching, because I don't get help from DSS with anything. I even have to pay for health insurance for me and my kids.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nassir, what did you think of the film? Anything you want to add to the story that we didn't see? Go ahead.
I loved it. I loved the film. Whoever was behind that camera, we got to talk business. That was good. I think the soundtrack was on point. Now, I think, now on the real though, honestly, I love the movie though. I think it was just like a good chance, because like everybody can research the statistics and stuff, about the whole RTS system and stuff. But I think it's always good for people to see it firsthand. And then I know that it's like a film and like a movie type, but I kind of want everybody to understand that was just like on camera. That was really our lives. Like this is what we go through. So I think it was a good thing for everybody to see. Like, that was literally like kind of just like a snatch right out of my day, you know what I mean? And kind of how I was telling Mike that was one of my light days on the bus. That was just a day where I had to go down to DSS and make sure that I was straight with that. But like I said, on a normal day, I'm on the bus 6 hours a day. So I definitely think it was a great way for everybody to see really what we're going through, for us, see our problems, hear our problems and stuff like that. And just hope that'll be effective, like getting different opinions and everybody's, just different perspective on it and stuff. Because, I don't have a problem with taking a bus, but, you might have Tom that is totally against the bus, or, Mary that's scared of taking a bus and stuff like that. So there's pros and cons to taking a bus and stuff like that. I kind of just want everybody to get the whole gist and whole grasp of the whole situation, that it could get better, it's not so worse and stuff like that, but understand, like, these are some of the things that, like, like he said, like, I was looking at some of the information that was put up, before by this gentleman right here, and seeing that it kind of said like 1 to 3 people, like every 1 to 3rd person is in poverty, like, in the inner city around you, you know what I mean? And so that's like a 50 group of my friends, it's like, half of us is going through it, you know what I mean? So I think it was definitely a good opportunity for everybody from different areas and different situations, like I said, with different opinions, to see exactly what we go through on a day-to-day basis.
And let me also follow up and ask you, I think the film should, for anybody who takes the time to watch it, start to wear down any stereotypes we have about poverty.
Right.
But what do you think people get wrong most often about poverty?
Well, to be honest, I feel like people get mixed confused with poverty has no color, has no area or anything like that, But it is a lot that plays into poverty as far as like region and like, you know, like who you are, where you grow, you know, who you're around and stuff like that. Like that plays a part in it, you know what I mean? But I want everybody to know like anybody can be in poverty and stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff that plays into that, you know what I mean? Especially about where you are, you know, about where you live and stuff like that. It plays like a lot. Like how you said when you asked Eve what would make it more for her, you know, like, you know, you got a lot of people that say, like they said, they don't want to move. They would just rather their community be better. And everybody's community plays a part into how they live their life because that's their community. You know what I mean? So you might have people that live out in Batavia and their community is this. Their community is like, you know, not a lot of roads, one traffic light, you know, that's their community. That's how their community looks. So they may live their life a little more spaced out, you know what I mean? Not so cooped up around everybody. Where you have somebody like me, you know, I live right in Rochester around a whole bunch of people. So that's my community. You know, it's a bus stop on every corner. There's a whole bunch of people out here. So I might be more of a person that lives my life more talkative, more liking to talk to a lot of people. So you're definitely a product of your community and stuff. So that's all.
Let me turn to Shawn Brown. Let me also tell our audience, you know, we'll have time to take your questions for both panels, but time goes quickly, and I'm going to try to get out of the way as best I can. Shawn, early on in the film, you were very direct, and I think knowing you as I do, you know, you try to be a bridge builder. You try to look for solutions in communities, but you also try to be direct when you see problems. And you said, you know, right now, you think RTS is trying to find solutions, but in some ways is holding people back from reaching their full potential. I know you're not necessarily someone who has studied transportation systems and can wave a magic wand and fix it, but what is something that you think you would like to see change to give everyone on the stage and everyone in this community a better chance to succeed?
I think if we could really have a partnership or a conversation, I think that's initiated by RTS, get folks from the community, get some of those employers that do have their facilities out in the suburbs, and really sit down and figure out how we can be more flexible with times, routes going directly to businesses, so that folks that live in Rochester that are trying to improve their financial condition have a viable and a real way to get to their employment. I do know that RTS has a few buses that go to the tech center out in Chi-Li. I also know they have one that goes to the call center out in Webster that's on Salt Road. That's literally Salt Road's the last exit on 104 before you get to 315 land. I know they've done, sorry, anybody? I love the 315, I'm sorry. But I know that, so for folks that's going out to Webster, now they have a bus. But the same, even with those buses that go to Tech Park and out in Webster, the times that they run is still not very consistent and really supporting folks that work there. I had a friend of mine who was working out in Webster, was trying to catch that last bus, I believe at 11 o'clock, call center, call comes in at 10:55. You can't just say, I gotta run out for the bus. He runs outside, misses the bus. He's from New York City, lives here with his girlfriend, no car. He started walking from Webster to try to get on Edmond Street off of Monroe. So I think really if we could have a conversation as a community and really look at how we can adjust routes, buses, even if we know we have 80 people going to one place a day, maybe we can do a special shuttle bus or something to really be supportive of folks in the community.
And I think we'll talk a little bit about that with Maggie Brooks. Some of that is happening and there are conversations about that. Shawn, what do you think we get wrong about poverty most often?
I mean, I think there's this ideal, I think especially for I think white folks that live in suburban areas, about people of color that live inside the city of Rochester, that is somehow a condition that people are like happy to be in. And I think that like people aren't actively doing what they can to improve their situations. But if you take institutional and structural racism, if you look at how cities are designed, if you look at the white flight that happened to Rochester back in the 60s, and you start seeing that when redlining happened and this money doesn't go into communities, that those resources, opportunities are lost for the people that live within them. And I think there's always this thing that those people are just happy living in those conditions. And I think that, all the folks that I know that look like me are doing everything they can to improve their situation. And as a people, historically, we're strong and we're trying to persevere. We're trying to make things better for ourselves and our families. So I think people just got to understand the full gamut of what creates poverty and not judge people that are living in those conditions.
We're ready to take audience questions if you have them, and as we get set for that, they're going to bring the mics around. So there's one right there in the middle. So please say your name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the question because I think we're recording and we want to make sure we hear everything. So go ahead. So the question is, Nassir talked about how desperately he wants to get a car. And the question is, have you thought about maybe getting a bike instead? There's a lot of emphasis on RTS in this film, understandably so, but multimodal transportation means a lot of different things. Bicycle, Nassir.
Bicycle, Nassir. Well, actually...
No?
Oh, no, the bicycle, Nassir, is fine, because I'm a cyclist. I like riding on a bike, And, that's one of the things, like, that me and Mike were talking about, just kind of, like, off the camera. I was letting him know, like, that was, like, the second option. If I go out to the bus, and the bus is not there, and I text the bus out thing, and it's not saying the right time that I need the bus to come, and I'm busting a U-turn, going right back to the house, grabbing my bike, So I don't actually, the Zaxxer bikes, I just rode one of those the other day. It's like the best bike I've ever been on. It's the best bike I've ever been on. For real. It got like the guard thing over the chain, so the chain can't pop it off. It's got this nice little bell on it, so everybody knows. So yeah. Oh no, I'm not against the bike. I'm not against the bike. No, I'm not.
Okay. Other questions in the audience? Feel free to put a hand up.
I just wanted to say a quick
yeah,
thing. I know that my friend Mary Starpoli and the folks over at Reconnect Rochester, I know they're real involved in the process of bringing Zaxxer to Rochester. I know they're in the works and trying to figure out a different alternative way to pay for Zaxxer. They do have them on the west side in vulnerable neighborhoods. They do have them on the east side in vulnerable neighborhoods. But again, if folks are living in poverty, they might not have a smartphone. They might not have a check card. They might not have a credit card. And then again, think about the conditions of poverty and how they're reinforced, like the power. And then if I live in a vulnerable neighborhood, you drop this depot on my corner, I walk by it every day, but then I still can't access those bikes. So I think we really got to think about a way to make that more accessible to the people that we all know really could use it.
All right, hands up if you want to ask a question. I will follow up by asking, in the film there was discussion on how employers, some employers build a little bit of leniency, maybe 15 minutes in if they know you're on the bus, some don't. Cee Cee, I'll start with you. How much do you see actual leniency? How are most employers cool with it if you're on the bus and you're a little late, or would you say in your work experience most aren't considering that?
Thank you. I would say most jobs that I've been with, construction for one, I'll give you an example. My last construction job, he was very lenient, but he moved up, so he wasn't my boss no more. So a new guy comes into play, he doesn't care. If you late, you're late, and that's kind of where I got to Arby's. But she took the bus. My manager at Arby's, she used to take the bus before she just got her truck back. So I'm blessed that she is very lenient with me about the bus, because she knows the situation. She knows I do get up early, or I may not have bus fare, so she comes and pick me up if I can't make it on time. You know what I mean? So
okay. Eve?
My job have no leniency against the bus. Like, if I'm late, I'm late. I'm written up for that. So I have to pretty much make sure my kids is up early and ready and out the door on time, so I can catch the bus on time. Because if not, if I'm late, I'm held accountable for it. They have no excuse, because honestly, I'm the only person at my job that catches the bus. Everyone else has a vehicle and they pay for parking every day, so they don't care. And if I'm stuck at work, like he said, on a call, if you're stuck on a call, you're stuck on a call. You have to continue that call. They're not going to tell you no, hang up that call so you can catch your bus. They don't care about that.
And you have the extra layer of the people on the stage of having kids. And so now all of a sudden you're on a call, you're going to be late, you might miss a bus, you have to think about what's going on with your kids. I mean, how often are those things in your mind where you're kind of trying to grab all these different things, figure out your bus schedule, where are the kids going to be, when can I get out to get groceries? How often are all those things kind of going through your mind?
Every day. Everything I do, I have to work around the bus and my kids. So luckily enough, I have my oldest son, his father is involved in his life. So my oldest son, he has football practice after school. So his father takes him to football practice. So I don't have to worry too much about him. It's just my 6-month-old that I really have to be concerned about because he's at daycare while I'm at work. So that will, of course, include they stay with your kids later. That's going to include late fees or more charges against you to keep your child longer. So, of course, if I'm not home by a certain time and it's bad enough, like I'm paying for more than I should have to pay for because she needs to keep my son even longer because, of course, that has to come into play with the fact that I need her to come and pick him up early enough so I can catch the bus and get to work on time and stay with him late enough so I can catch the bus home.
Nassir, what about you? What's your experience with how employers handle, whether you're a few minutes late or you're dealing with the transportation system?
The jobs pretty much just act like nonchalant with it. I'm grateful that I had, some type of connection with TE, so it's kind of different there. They kind of know, oh, if you guys are catching the bus, okay, we'll give you 5 or 7 minutes. But at regular jobs, I don't even think like the bussers are kind of put in like a different category. We know they know that we take the bus and stuff like that, but it's kind of still, this is what time you get on, this is what time you get off, this is what time you punch in, this is what time you punch out, however you get to work, by bike, bus, horse, however you get there. You gotta clock in at this time. So that's why I said I feel like it would definitely make it more effective, and it'll better a lot of people for it to maybe be some type of system or some type of program for people that are working and are catching the bus, even if, like half off bus passes or just, having a couple bus passes on hand, because like we were just talking about, half of the jobs are all far out, and most of the youth are the ones that are working at those jobs far out, so if you got a kid that just got his first job and he's 18 years old and he's all the way out at the call center, and like Shawn said, the bus is even at 11 o'clock. So also like Eve said, she's thinking about her kids, but then you got your kids out there thinking about their parents or thinking about their safety. How are they gonna get home? Because it's 11:30 at night and the next bus isn't coming until who knows when. So
we've got, again, probably time for at least one more audience question, then we're gonna switch out panels in a moment. We've got a number, let's try to work in a couple quick ones here. I know there's one in the back, one here in the middle. Jim's comment again for the film is more just an observation, especially having lived in Manhattan, how difficult it is to get around and how much time it truly takes because of a personal situation, couldn't drive and saw that. And I think in our next panel we'll talk a little bit about how we're working to change that system, that dynamic. But someone want to respond on the panel to what they heard there? No? Okay. Thank you, Jim. I think that's exactly what part of the point is, making sure people understand that. We got another one right here.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and I am a third grade teacher in the city. And one of the things that we are constantly thinking about is transportation for our families to get to school, to be involved. We always see that things are better when the whole village is involved. It takes the village, the parents, the teachers, the administrators. How is it for you as a mom getting to be involved with your son's education at school, getting to events, and what do you think would help improve that?
All right, question for the mom on the panel. Go ahead, Eve.
Well, it's very difficult. It's because sometimes not all the time my job is willing to work around like parent-teacher conference all the time. So me and his dad, a lot of times we try to attend as much as we can, but a lot of times, I have to know and enough time in advance so I can, request maybe the morning off or that afternoon off so I can go to those meetings because, of course, I would need to catch the bus to those meetings. And then, like, I remember for the first day of school, or not even the first day of school, the meeting before school started, I went all the way up there and the school told me, oh, you didn't have to come. And I'm just like, well, this is something, and I took, time off from work to attend this. And it's just like, well, I believe a lot of times in school, there definitely needs to be more communication between the parents. And I went because I wanted to meet, my son's teachers and get, for them to see my face. And a lot of times they don't get to see my face as often because I have to catch the bus everywhere. And of course, with me working, it also makes it very hard for me to be able to get that time off to go to parent-teacher conferences at certain times and that sort of thing. So it's very difficult to stay actively involved in my son's schooling. But luckily enough, I do get some type of help from his father.
And I guess I would like to see real quick, I'm sorry, that we go back to more neighborhood schools. So that if we went to neighborhood schools, I think that just changes the complexion of that neighborhood where parents can really be engaged because the school's in the neighborhood for the little guys. But I think for the teenagers, there's still safety issues. Unfortunately, we still got some things we need to work out. But interactions sometimes, if you're a young person that lives on Genesee Street and you got to go to school at East High School, that's not going to be the best situation for you, and vice versa if you got to live on the east side and come to the west side. So I think if we could, again, it's those community conversations that really look at all those factors and all these different systems, how we can really be more supportive of for the people.
We got time for one more quick question here, and then we're going to switch the panels.
Back here.
Hi there. Pam Davis, actually ran for city council, and I have lived what you guys are talking about. Took the bus to school, took the bus to work, and Missy, I live around the corner from you. I'm happy to give you a ride home.
Oh, thank you.
And Grace Country right near my mom, that we got space in the car. I'm one of those people, come on, I'll give you a ride. But you are absolutely right on about the time it takes, about all the stressors that your brain is always thinking about, where are the kids, how long is this going to take? God forbid you miss the bus. We used to catch a lake. If you miss the lake, then you're running over to the Dewey. Thank God for that 16 crosstown. It was just crazy. So you are absolutely on point. Everything was absolutely true. It was not fake in the least.
Thank you. I want to thank these panelists, and I just want to say, from my observation, I think what you're doing is amazing, and I don't like to use that word often, but I say amazing because, for someone from my privilege, I've never had to deal with what you're dealing with in transportation. And I'm not only amazed at what you're doing, but I admire you, and if everyone in this room, in this community, truly cares, no matter the station or privilege that we have, then we will make a better system, and it will be easier, and we are all rooting for you, and thank you for being willing to share your stories. How about a round of applause for these amazing people? So now let's go ahead and switch the panels because we have, I want to go ahead and